Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we're going to look at alternate versions from the future. The past, forget it. We want heroes from the time of hovercar utopias or dystopian hellscapes, because that's usually the two options we have. Boring futures need not apply. I'm Sasha and these are the top 10 alternate versions from the future. Number 10. Old Man Deadpool. The old man, or rather old character, because there was an Old Lady Harley miniseries as well, really had a bit of a revival after Logan, after some fans learned that some elements from it were akin to Old Man Logan, the comic, and so flocked over there in a rare display of horizontal marketing without having to try too hard. So we had some other older versions, including Old Man Deadpool. This occurred in Spider-Man and Deadpool's team-up book during the period of time when it was a versus Deadpool instead of a slash book because of their friendship was on the fritz. I said it was a slash book, and some people who are into shipping will take that another way, and that's fine, you do you. Although, let's be honest, even for the most Spidey pooliest out there amongst you, even when their friendship was on the ups in that book series, it was still on the down and could use a bit of work. Still, that's what fandom and fanfics are for. So in this arc, Deadpool and Spider-Man are at the same old folks' home, and Deadpool takes Peter out for another adventure as he has been riddled with guilt over being the person who cost him the use of his legs, and he actually gave him a secret blood transfusion to keep him alive, which has resulted in Peter outliving a lot of his friends and family. This accident was also where he learned Peter's secret identity. This was actually a cute romp, and they ended up traveling back in time and meeting their younger selves, but based on how this comic ended at issue 50, with arresting the author thanks to Gwenpool, it doesn't really feel that anything that happened in it will have too big of a lasting impact. R.I.P. Old Man Deadpool and Peter. Number 9. Nightwing New Order. This Nightwing comes from a dark future where he has become a tyrant, a meta-human hunter. This is after the Metropolis Wars of 2028, so we've only got a few good years left. Also, if you're from the future, tell me how it was. Dick snapped after Bruce died during this conflict, and so he activated a device that nullified metahuman abilities, and he became the leader of a group known as the Crusaders, who dedicated themselves to hunting down metahumans. By 2040, he'd been doing this openly, but he was met with a personal dilemma when his son Jake Grayson? Okay. Started to develop meta abilities. There was a fight with Batwoman who was bitter because Dick had become the leader of the Crusaders and not her. This arc was actually pretty cool. R.I.P. Dick Grayson. Your replacement Rick isn't cutting it. I miss you every day. Booty memes on Twitter aren't the same. Number 8. Young Cable kills old Cable. This happened in the arc Extermination or New Extermination, cause you know, X puns and extreme. So both versions of Cable are from the future, but how far in the future is what varies. So part of getting the young X-Men back in time and then back again, but we'll explain that, cause that was what we were doing for a time. It was part of the, ooh, our main timeline has gotten too convoluted, people miss the classic X-Men, so let's bring them forward in time, because that won't confuse anybody. Then we'll just have them do great things like Jean telling Bobby that he's gay and, well, did anything else really monumental happen except for confusion that still lingers with casual fans? But then they realized that that wasn't working, so they had to send them back, and hence Extermination came in. House of X is here to save us all from all of this. May all of this canon matter? Yes, but never need to be referenced again. So why did young Cable kill old Cable? Well, because his older version was soft and weak and hadn't done his job protecting the timeline, which had allowed the mess of the young X-Men going back in time to happen in the first place. Which seems like a bit too much to blame on Cable, but okay. Wibbly wobbly timey wimey, they went back to the past. Young, hot Cable, question mark, is still around. Old Cable was hotter, but that's just me, we're moving on. Cable is always just having different things happen to him. I'm sure he'll be old again, maybe he's old again already. Speaking of old, in at number 7, Old Man Logan. So we need to talk about the classic Logan story that started it all off, and also gave us a really creepy Hulk. This is actually a really depressing tale about Old Man Logan and his MacGuffin family, murdered so he can grotesquely kill the Hulk. All of his family too, except for one little baby. Seriously though, this story is cool. America divided up into factions, heroes all but extinct, people living in fear, Venom T-Rex. So the one issue I have with this story is the idea, spoiler for a story that's over a decade old, that Logan could kill all the X-Men, and that they wouldn't have even been able to subdue him or knock him out. Yes, he is a Wolverine, and Wolverines are fierce creatures, but like Storm, Jean, everybody, really? I don't know. It's a cool story though, and him battling the Red Skull, totally worth it. The fights in this comic are all amazing. Number 6. DEATHWING. DEATHWING, the Dick Grayson from the future who'd be retconned to not being Dick, and then just be an entirely different character in Rebirth, just cause why not? If you can make something confusing in comic book continuity, that's always the choice to go with. Well, I mean, the Rebirth one thinks he's Dick Grayson, but initially the first DEATHWING was Dick from the future, from an edgy timeline where he was fighting Lord Chaos. This would be retconned to him just being some guy who had been implanted with memories from Dick Grayson. Why? Because he became a rapist, that's why, and we can't have that. That dystopian Titans future had some grunge fashion choices, and that's honestly what I remember the most about it, because if you stare at DEATHWING too long, he has nipple piercings. These are the things I spend my time thinking about. Some people think about stats or power levels. I think about how high 80s Nightwing's collar was and how he probably always hit the back of his head against it. How starched was it to stay up like that? Inquiring minds need to know. All these details together flesh out the universe. Number 5. Spider-Man Reign. Spider-Man Reign. The Peter who killed MJ with his radioactive semen. But so much more happened than that. This mini was 4 issues and also featured an old Spider-Man. So in this world, it's 30 years in the future and most crime is gone, but only because of a super aggressive police force called Reign. Peter's in his early 70s and he's a florist, and he is lured back to action by memories of his past and the brutality of Reign, who upon his return released some of his greatest and also geriatric villains to take him on. It's a really depressing comic, and every time I read it I'm sad. Number 4. Batman Earth 12, Batman Beyond, or Batman of the Future. That's what the show was called in Europe. So Terry McGinnis was the Batman of the future of the DCAU, a teen who took up the mantle after meeting Bruce Wayne while being chased by some members of the Jokers, a gang who idolized the original Joker. After the death of his father, he would steal the Batsuit and take action, with Bruce taking him on as Batman and acting as his mentor. People really enjoyed this series, but in comics it takes place on an alternate Earth, cause there's way too much existing continuity for that to be the natural progression of the future. Plus, you know, Damian. Terry is still around in his own comics, well I mean not at this exact instance, at the time of this recording, but they're worth a read if you love that universe and want to see more action within it. Number 3. Future Flash, or Blue Flash. So this is the Flash from the future who's not Impulse. So this version of the Flash was Barry Allen from 20 years in the future, who was racked with guilt over feeling responsible for the death of Wally West. So what did he do? He started killing his rogues so that he could gain enough speed to go back in time to prevent Wally's death. Obviously he would ultimately end up in a battle with his past self and end up trapped there. Always a risk when you time travel, you may not be going back. So hopefully you like the past and everyone there likes your slick blue costume. Are you menaced by the dark blue costume? Will you sleep again? I shouldn't joke like that, not with some of the scary lists we've done. I don't have a leg to stand on. Number 2. Spider-Man 2099. It's that one 2099 comic that most people remember. Spider-Man Miguel O'Hara, the head of the genetics program at Alchemax. He was trying to create super soldiers called Corporate Raiders, and was trying to make them like Spider-Man, a historical figure who inspired him. However, after a human test subject dies, Miguel wants to quit, but his boss, Tyler Stone, what a name, won't let him, and instead gets him addicted to drugs that the company will supply him with, or he can go get them on the street and get arrested. So Miguel tries to rewrite his DNA because the drug has bonded to it, and bingo bongo, Spider-Man, because one of his subordinates sabotaged the machine. You know, part of what made Miguel stand out is that his origin was so interesting. It has a very cyberpunky feel to it, especially with all the corptocracy stuff, and his costume looked amazing. The black, the red, it's striking. Miguel felt complete, and his story had stakes. It's no wonder he's the one most people think of when they think of 2099 heroes. Marvel's planning a huge 2099 blitz designed to make you have to go collect them all like Pokemon. So get ready to see Miguel again, along with a bunch of other 2099 characters, old and new, that you may or may not care about. Number 1. Superman of Earth 2 / all the Earth 2 heroes really, classic Earth 2. Earth 2 heroes appeared at the dawn of Earth 2 in the future by default. This started when the Silver and Golden Age Flashes met. Earth 2 became a refuge for DC's heroes from the Golden Age, so that they could publish both types of comics at the same time. So on Earth 2, the timeline had still been in motion from the start, so you had an older Superman and Batman in circulation, along with all the other characters also just being older, which allowed those stories to continue on alongside the adventures of their younger counterparts. These versions would meet often and eventually would have plots so convoluted that DC would feel the need to collapse Earth 2 and the multiverse in general, only to bring it back years later. This was actually a really chill and clever way to have a concurrent future back in the day. So those were 10 alternate versions from the future. Future me has so many Two-Face shirts, I can feel it. Who's your favorite alternate from the future? Let me know down below. I'm Sasha, and thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. See you soon. Bye.